This story is about a shooting that happened on the 4th of July 2022 in Highland Park, Illinois. If you like hearing stories about people who suck, then hit the like and subscribe button. On the 4th of July 2022, the people of Highland Park, Illinois gathered for the 4th of July parade. Men, women, and children lined up on the streets eager to watch the parade and celebrate America's independence. Little did they know that there was a killer lurking on the rooftops overlooking the parade. Robert Eugene Crimo III, aka Bobby, aka Awake the Rapper, is a 21-year-old man who killed 7 people, paralyzed a kid, and wounded dozens more in Highland Park during the 4th of July parade. But let's talk about who he was before he became a killer. He was born on September 20th, 2000 to parents Robert Eugene Crimo Jr. and Denise Piscina, and is the middle child with an older half-sister named Lynette, who is an aspiring actress/model/influencer, and a younger brother named Sammy. His father, Bob, owned a deli that he ran with his wife, which has been shuttered. Bob also ran for mayor, but lost. His mother is a thirst trap who claims to be a holistic health practitioner and founded Trilogy Energy Systems, which claims to heal physical and mental problems using energy vibrations. She probably should have used some of that energy on her son. She also has her own website where she sells crystals, bowls, and gongs. And she has a YouTube channel with one video that is filled with hate comments due to her son killing people. Crimo grew up in a relatively wealthy Chicago suburb, but the cops were called to their home at least 9 times between 2010 and 2014 for domestic violence. Some of the incidents included his mom hitting his dad with a shoe while she was drunk, and a separate incident where she tried to stab his dad with a screwdriver. When he was 2 years old, his mother was convicted of abandoning him in a hot car. Crimo was also in the Cub Scouts when he was younger, and his Cub Scout leader was also the current mayor of Highland Park, Mayor Roddering. His former middle school classmates described him as negative, harsh, and wanting to be seen as a rebel. He was an odd, soft-spoken kid who didn't participate in class or school activities and showed little interest in engaging with his peers. When he was 17, his best friend Anthony Laporte died from a drug overdose. Crimo spoke at the funeral and said that Anthony was the person he would call when he couldn't sleep or needed someone to hang out with. He said that he felt like he wasn't alone anymore because Anthony was actually there for him. Anthony's mom, Michelle Rebelar, said that Crimo was an awkward, quiet kid who spent most of his time at the skate park. After Anthony's death, she lost touch with Crimo and was surprised that the awkward, quiet skater kid who was friends with her son turned into a killer. She wondered if Crimo went down this dark path because he had no one to talk to, but ultimately, he could have got help. He could have told somebody, so she doesn't feel bad for his future and thinks he'll get what he deserves. He decided to drop out of high school to become a rapper and released music on the internet under the name Awake. He also had a YouTube channel that has already been taken down. In one of his music videos titled Are You Awake?, a cartoon wearing tactical gear carried out an attack using a rifle while he says, I need to just do it. It is my destiny. In another video titled Toy Soldier, a stick figure was seen lying down in a pool of his own blood, surrounded by cops with their guns drawn. Eventually, he would get face tattoos and dye his hair in a rainbow color to help project his image as a rapper. When he was 19, he tried to commit suicide using a machete. The cops were called, but his parents told him that he would get help from mental health professionals. 5 months later, a family member called the cops and said that he was going to kill everyone. The police confiscated 17 knives and a samurai sword from his closet. No arrests were made because there were no signed complaints against Crimo. When he was 20, he also worked at Panera Bread to supplement his income while he pursued his rap career. There, he met his coworker, Amy. He caught feelings for her and became a simp. She actually liked him back. However, Amy's parents did not allow her to date at the time, so she rejected him. She dodged a bullet. After the Panera Bread they worked at shut down due to the pandemic, she ended up completely cutting ties with him and didn't even say hi or wave back whenever they would see each other in the neighborhood. Amy has said that she felt like a broken piece of glass that stabbed him. That might have hurt him. She thinks that this made him angry and may have contributed to causing him to shoot innocent people. But we all know it's not her fault, and that going on a shooting spree because a girl won't date you is a stupid excuse. He eventually became involved in right-wing politics and has even attended a Trump rally dressed as Where's Waldo, because Waldo was apparently a Republican. He posted racist and anti-Semitic messages on the forum Documenting Reality under the name Awake47. He also started posting pictures online of his sex doll he named Sophie. Sophie could not be reached for comment. He was always fascinated with guns, but in the state of Illinois, a firearm owner's identification card, or FOID card, is a required document for possessing a gun. The minimum age to obtain a FOID is 21, unless you get sponsored by a parent. After getting sponsored by his dad, Crimo then used the card to legally buy multiple guns, including the one he would eventually use in the attack. On the 4th of July shooting, he used a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 rifle and had another rifle in his car and even more guns at his home. He somehow managed to pass 4 background checks to legally purchase the guns. Before the parade started, he climbed up an unsecured ladder to the roof of the Ross Cosmetics building, a local store on the corner of Central Avenue and 2nd Street. There he watched and waited for the perfect opportunity to start the massacre. At 10 a.m. the parade started, and at 10:14 a.m. he started shooting into the crowd. He fired 83 shots. 5 people died at the scene, 2 people later died at the hospital, 46 other people were injured during the shooting. This included an 8-year-old boy who was shot in the chest. The bullet ripped through his body and severed his spinal cord, leaving him paralyzed, and after several surgeries, he still remains in critical condition. After the shooting, he dressed in women's clothing and covered his tattoos with makeup to try and conceal his identity so that he could blend in with the crowds and escape the area. This actually worked, and he managed to get away and go to his mom's house to borrow her car, probably because his own car was a little too noticeable. FYI, it has the number 47 on the side because he was apparently obsessed with the numbers 4 and 7, which some people speculate might be related to why he carried out an attack on the 4th of July. He also has these numbers tattooed to his face. He drove the car for over 2 hours and crossed the state border into Wisconsin, where he ended up in Madison, about 140 miles away. At that point, he didn't really have any plans after escaping, so he contemplated carrying out a second attack there. In the end, he decided not to and just drove back to Illinois, where he was arrested. He also gave a confession after the arrest. Back in February, Crimo wrote and published a manifesto before the shooting. According to users on 4chan, the shooter had written a paper entitled Arcturus, a document almost 30 pages in length, which consists solely of seemingly random numbers in a single paragraph. Now let's talk about the aftermath of the shooting. In addition to the dozens of people who were injured in the shooting, there were 7 victims who died. Catherine Goldstein was a 64-year-old devoted wife and a mother of 2 daughters. She was described as an easygoing travel companion who was always game to visit far-flung locales. Kevin and Irina McCarthy were husband and wife, and were the parents of a 2-year-old boy who is now an orphan. A GoFundMe has been set up for their orphaned son. Jacqueline Jackie Lovey Sundheim was a 63-year-old cherished member of her synagogue, North Shore Congregation Israel. She also taught at the Gates of Learning preschool with tireless dedication. Stephen Strauss was an 88-year-old father of 2 and a grandfather of 4. Nicholas Toledo was a 78-year-old father to 8 and a grandfather to many. Eduardo Uvaldo was a 69-year-old man who was described as kind, loving, and funny. Since Crimo was an adult when he went on a killing spree, his parents probably won't be held liable for his actions in criminal court. However, his father is probably going to be sued in civil court since he sponsored Crimo for his FOID card. His father has said that he does not regret signing the consent form and should not be held culpable for the shooting. Not only has the trauma affected the lives of the friends and family of the 7 people killed in the shooting, but it also affects the survivors of the shooting as well as their loved ones. Even Crimo's own family is horrified by the shooting. His uncle, Paul Crimo, has been on camera multiple times apologizing on behalf of the entire family. He has also stated that there were no signs of trouble, even though Crimo tried to kill himself in the past, and once had the cops called on him because someone thought he was going to kill the entire family. And his rap videos show animations of shootings. His family, who he lived with, still maintain that there were no warning signs whatsoever. His father has denounced his son and has said that he wants his son to serve a long sentence, which in this case would be for life. Both the uncle and father claim that Crimo was raised with good morals and that there were no warning signs or any indication that he was planning on killing people at all. Instead of dropping bars as "Awake the Rapper," looks like Crimo will be behind bars staying awake to keep the other inmates from creaming him. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like the video if you liked it, and also click on the subscribe button. It just takes 2 seconds to do and it would really help me out. Leave a comment below if you think this guy sucks. I left the links to all the references I used in the description below.